Okay, as it pertains to Chris Brown, right? People just need to leave him alone. Point blank, period. I'm sick of it. Everybody is on this brother's jockstrap, and it's like, all right, he made a mistake almost 10 years ago. He has since went to jail for it, community service, did, I don't even know how many apology songs. Like, this dude did more apology songs than T.I. after he got caught with all of them guns in his limo. And guess what? They actually did an apology song together. That's how sorry these dudes were. He spent a whole album apologizing and trying to get Rihanna back. But that's not enough for the world, specifically women. Y'all want everything. Wasn't enough because he hit Rihanna. And Rihanna, right next to Beyonce, is the goddess of all goddesses. And you don't put your hands on one of the goddesses. And that's... get him out of here. So now he has to suffer for the rest of his life because of that shit? The main reason why I bring all of this up is because last week he got into a little back and forth. It wasn't even a back and forth. He responded to an artist after he posted her song on Instagram. And it's an artist who's not even relevant right now. And he was trying to big up her and uplift her, but she has some fuck shit to say because it's International Women's Month and it was International Women's Day, so she had to clap back. The artist I'm talking about is Vanessa Carlton, and y'all know this. Wait for it. Hey, hey, and I'm homebound. Hey, fuego. Hey, let's get it. So, the song came out like 13 years ago. Still a smacker. But guess what? It's the only hit Vanessa Carlton ever had in her freaking life. So, with that being said, Chris was just showing the song some love and was basically saying it stood the test of time and it's still a banger. But you think Vanessa Carlton was just going to humbly accept that shout out and go on with living her mediocre life wherever the hell she is? Absolutely not. She didn't do that. In fact, Vanessa Carlton doubled down on the narrative that Chris Brown is a woman beater and will forever be a woman beater. And on International Women's Day, she is not going to accept the fact that this man who beats women is posting her song in support of her. So, here's where being a man, a black man, who is well aware of his hypermasculinity at times, who's well aware that some of his masculine behaviors can be very detrimental to the people around him, including other men and women. Here's where somebody who grew up around pretty much all strong African American women his whole life, with the exception of the time that I spent away from my family. Here's where my bias and my confusion with all of this stuff, not only confusion, but also my frustration with all of this shit comes into play. I said this on Instagram not even like fucking 15 minutes ago. We all make mistakes. All of us. There is not one person who is a human being that is living, whether you're able-bodied or not able-bodied, on this planet that has not made a mistake. Not one person. And not one person. Doesn't matter how big the mistake is. I get it. When somebody makes a mistake like putting their hands on their girlfriend, it's a huge deal. And it's way different than me fucking punching another guy in a fist fight and hitting him in the face. A man doing that to a woman, I obviously understand that that's a huge no-no. Morally, from a values perspective, for me, I would never do that. And I have never done that. Have I felt like I was about to? Absolutely. Have I acted out on those emotions? No, because I was raised better than that. And I also seen my own parents go at it physically. So I know what that does to you from a mental perspective. It's traumatizing. However, when the victim of said abuse can forgive the abuser and then completely cut him out of her life and move on and still be successful and still be amazing and still be beautiful and still be empowering, why the fuck can't the rest of the world follow suit? Why do we have to hold on to this shit? Y'all, yo, there's still some people out here that are going super hard for R. Kelly. Super hard for R. Kelly. And he kidnaps women under the age of 21 and forces them to live in his house as sex slaves. And people are still fucking buying out his selling out his concerts. He's still selling out concerts. Chris Brown is too, but the people that are supporting Chris Brown are the women who have this ill-advised fantasy of thinking that one day Chris is going to be bae, and that's just not what it is. It's a lot of younger millennial women that are following Chris Brown, but older women who are Rihanna's age, 30 and older, and even some of them still want to fuck Chris Brown. But on social media, outwardly, they have to make it look like this dude is such an evil person. He made a mistake in the heat of the moment when he was a young man. If you watch his documentary, he takes full responsibility and holds himself accountable for all of that shit. Now, for the people who are going to watch this video and say, well, yeah, of course you're going to take his side because you're a man and blah, 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 blah. It's not because he's a man. It's not even because he was born in the best month of the year, which is May. Salute to all of my Tauruses out there, because he is a Taurus too. Has nothing to do with that either. Has nothing to do that he's super talented and he's a quadruple threat and he can sing, dance, act, rap. It has nothing to do with none of that. What it has to do with is humanity. Chris Brown's humanity and what he's doing right now as a person, as a father, as a son, trumps everything that he did 8, 9, almost 10 years ago. When he was in a relationship with Rihanna, when she was 19 and he was 18. And she thought that he was cheating, but he wasn't. And she read text messages, assumed one thing, and then went to go put her hands on him. They were both in the wrong that night. Chris Brown was more wrong because our society says, our societal norms are, men are never allowed to put their hands on women. And I agree with that. However, I also understand why it went down the went down. I heard Rihanna's account of it. I heard Chris Brown's account of it. The stories match up. They were both in the wrong, but Chris has to hold that L because he's the man, and that's what it is. So Vanessa Carlton and others like you who are still trying to push that shit in this man's face, he's not trying to bury his past. He understands what he did. He understands it. He knows that he made a mistake. He knows that he lost the love of his life. He'll never get that back. Some of you tricks out here will never know what that love feels like. To be in love at such a young age, but to be a fucking international superstar. Internationally, when you're 18 years old. Bro, it was overwhelming for me being 17 years old as a senior in high school and knowing that 60 kids on the campus outside of my grade knew my name. That shit is overwhelming. When you're dapping up people, you're like, who the hell is this? But to hear your name on campus, you're like, yo, this is kind of lit. I'm kind of popping. So take that and fucking multiply that shit times 10 million? Are you serious? This is where these kids were at, 19, 18. They don't know right from wrong at that point. They're just going off raw emotions, and that's what happened that night. And people want to put it all on Chris. There were two quote-unquote adults in that car that night, and both of them put their hands on each other. But because one had the genitals, that's the person that has to take the brunt of the blame. But it does not mean that we have the right to crucify him for it forever. You gotta let people live, man. Especially when your fucking punk ass ain't perfect. Some of y'all bum asses just out here on social media waiting to hate on somebody. You waiting to throw some shade. You waiting to throw some salt. Listen, if you don't get your hateful, nothing better to do having ass out of here, get out of here with that, man. Stop that. You are not perfect. You cannot cast a stone. Nobody can cast a stone. Not even your goddamn priest. Not even your goddamn pastor. Not your bishop. Not the pope. The pope condones priests fucking little boys in the ass. He's the holiest man on this planet. One of them. He got to take himself accountable and hold an L for that too. Not just the priest that he's covering up for. All of them niggas got to hold that L. You know what I'm saying? At some point, people got to stop worrying about what the fuck everyone else is doing, and you got to look inside yourself and be like, yo, I'm not perfect at all, so who am I to judge? That judgment word, man, people struggle with it because they don't see that they're doing it all the time. That's all I got to say, man. Hop off Chris Brown's jockstrap. Let him live. Let him live.